February is Teenage Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Today, folks are wearing orange in solidarity. Our Grace Bradley spoke to experts to learn more about teenage relationship violence, its effects, and what we can do to help prevent it.
Teen dating violence is a pattern of behavior that is all about coercive control. So it's about one person using a variety of tactics to maintain control over their partner. And I think people often think about physical violence or sexual violence, but this can also look like emotional abuse, verbal abuse, isolation, stalking, financial control, misuse of technology. It can really look like a lot of different things.
Love is Respect reports 1 in 3 teenagers have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional violence in relationships. Regardless of the kind of violence, psychologist Dr. David Prescott says the effects stay the same.
You have more nightmares, your self-esteem takes longer to recover, you don't handle stress in your life as easily, it throws you back a lot more. A lot of times, even when you get out of the relationship, the effects stay on for a long time. You're anxious, you tend to isolate, you tend to feel really, really guilty and unsafe. We know that for psychological disorders like major depression, or some people have post-traumatic stress disorder, I think of it a lot like concrete. Right? The longer you let it set before you do anything with it, the harder it is to break up when you finally get there.
Teenagers are getting so many messages from media about what relationships are and what love is and what that means. And we want to make sure we're giving ourselves an opportunity to talk with teens about what feels healthy in those situations. The teenagers in our lives are going to grow up to be the next generation of adults. They're going to be having their own children and raising that next generation. If we want to end domestic violence in our communities, in the world, and we do, I think that working with youth on their own relationships and their own expectations is one of the most important ways that we're going to be able to do that.
Grace Bradley, WABI News, Bangor.